All right. Awesome. Hi, Sierra. How are you? Sorry about all the technical difficulties.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
So you have just coming off a big move, right?
No, we're still in the process of moving. We're actually living in a hotel right now because they're installing carpets in our house.
Oh, nice, nice. But congrats on the move anyway.
Yeah, no, we're excited. The area is gorgeous. So,
Awesome. So without further ado, since we are running a little bit late, I don't want to take up a lot of Sierra's valuable time. So hello, Trailblazers, and welcome to another Trainings and Strategies for Entrepreneurs. And Sierra today is going to show us how to boost engagements in our Facebook group. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you, Sierra.
Sure. So, where all are we live? Are we just live inside your Facebook group, or are you using StreamYard and going live in multiple places?
Just in the Facebook group today.
Cool. I don't think that I'm actually added into your group, so I won't be able to see messages. So if anyone jumps on live today, make sure that you log in with StreamYard so that we can see who you are and let us know that you're watching live. I can't see on the Facebook group, so that's the side where it'll show how many people are tuning in live. So Doug, if you'll let me know, that'd be great. That's one of the things that I watch during all of my lives.
Okay. Well, I could say right now there's one.
Woohoo! Maybe it's you.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So you actually asked a few specific questions. So I'm more than happy. I'd love to, if you want, we can just kind of dialogue it. I can jump into training stuff, and I could just like be a talking head and talk forever on stuff. But I love to do things that are actually applicable for the people who are on the call. So Doug, I think you had a couple questions that were things that you wanted to know. So I'd love to answer those for you.
Okay. I got to remember what they were. Unless you have them in front of you, I will look them up real quick.
I can pull it up.
Okay.
From my assistant, she got those over to me. So give me just a second. I'll pull them up and have them right in front of me. Cool. So I think it is because I responded down below to her. And that's not going to be the right one. Okay. I sent you over, or she sent you over a few different things that we could possibly talk about, and then the questions that you had. So one of them was you were asking about questions for new members, essential tools to manage your group, how often to go live and drop content in a free group. So in case anyone who watches this doesn't know, I've identified 5 different Facebook group types for business owners to actually utilize that will make consistently 6 to 7 figures like every single month over month. And those 5 Facebook group types are there's 3 that are decent, they're good, but they're not actual communities. It's just essentially using the group like an advertising mechanism. And so the very first one is like an evergreen membership. And so you can actually have a membership that people have to pay to get into. I say evergreen because you open it up all throughout the year. But the best example that I've seen of that has been Ray Higdon. He actually does it for network marketers. And in his, it's a low ticket item to be a part of the membership, but it's a membership that people pay month over month to stay inside of the group. And once you're locked in, then it's automatically debited. And so it's something that's actually consistent revenue. It's great to have around, all of that kind of jazz. But I think the main goal for it would be for anyone who does high ticket coaching or consulting or has an agency, the main goal would be to actually move people over into a higher ticket offer whenever you're doing something like that. So anyone who jumps inside of a membership group like that, the only option for future sales is going to be for upselling. The same thing is true whenever you're talking about a client-only group. So whenever you already get clients and you bring them in, the goal would be that you serve them so well that they want to upsell into something else. So that's the second type of group, is a client-only group. There's a third type of group, which is going to be like launch groups. One of my favorite people who does this really, really well is Eileen Wilder. And what she does is essentially they do one event. At the event, that's where they do all the sales. So inside of a launch group, what you would do is you would have like your little like mini mini courses, the free ones, or maybe it's a smaller tiered paid one that people could be a part of. But the idea behind those is that those groups get a lot of hype in the beginning and then they die very, very quickly. So every single time you do a launch, you're having to rebuild engagement all over again. So it's a lot of work for just like that immediate reward, but it's not long lasting. It's not something that's built to last or sustain the test of time. So that's 3 types of groups that we talked about: the evergreen membership, the second one was the client only group. The third one is launch style groups. The fourth one is going to be webinar style. So you'll see there's a couple guys out there. Well, actually, I think there's 3 altogether. I can't remember the third one's name, but it's like Landon and Stapes and the clients and communities guys. So they do webinar style groups. And essentially what they're doing is they're utilizing their group like it's a webinar platform. So they're utilizing their live videos as webinars. And they do several different like little methods along with that. But at the end of the day, again, you're gearing it towards people who are ready to buy right away, which is only 15% of the marketplace. There's 85% of the marketplace that is just kind of getting left in the dust, that just kind of checks out. So you're very dependent on the new members that you're bringing in, because you're going to bring in 100 members. Only 15 of them are going to be ready to buy. Not all 15 are going to buy, mind you, from you. Some of them are going to buy from other people, but you're only bringing in, out of every 100, you're only bringing in like 15 who want to buy, which means that 85 of them are checking out. So that being said, that's the fourth type of group, the webinar style group. And so like Doug he has his entrepreneur journey group, the free group. That's going to be the one that will actually allow you, if you have a really great strategy in place, it'll allow you to be able to serve all types of buyers. There's 3 different types of buyers. The first one, the first 15%, the people who are ready to buy right away. The second one, which is the largest chunk of the market, is 61% of the market. That is going to be your buyers who want a little more time to think about it. They have a little bit of debt. They are trying to make the decision, maybe need to go talk about it. They want to do some research and development. They want to see some testimonials, like whatever the case may be, they need something to push them a little bit harder or further. And it takes them time to break out of those old thought patterns, to break out of those old beliefs, or to break out of their shell to actually make the purchase. So that's 61% of the market who needs more time. They're not ready to buy right away. And if your group is super spammy, or your group is just all about selling and buying right now, you're going to lose them. They're going to check out. They're going to go somewhere else where they can actually make connections and build that trust with somebody. So then the third type of buyer is going to be the last 24% of the market. Those are the people who are up to their eyeballs in debt. They're like, I'm never purchasing. That's way too much money. Or those are typical things that they would say. They say, I'm never going to buy, essentially. But even in a free group, those people, when they get plugged into the community, they actually build those relationships and that trust. Eventually, they also buy, because they get to the point where they realize the value of it. They realize they have FOMO. They have that fear of missing out. Eventually, they do buy over time. And it's because they see what's going on with everyone else, and they start thinking differently, and they start changing their belief patterns, and they start thinking, okay, you know what? I need to get this debt paid down. The only way I'm going to do that is if I make more money, or if I take these steps, or if I get my mindset in the right place, or if I get my health in order, or whatever the case may be. And they start taking care of that debt so that they can join your program, because they realize what a benefit it's going to be for their life. So that being said, the best group that you can have is going to be the free group, because it hits all 3 types of buyers. And so jumping back into one of the questions that you asked specifically, and what we're going to talk about here today about the engagement inside of groups, I'm pulling up your questions again because I closed out of it for a second. So where did it go?
I have it over here too, I think.
Cool. So yeah, you were saying how often to go live and drop content in a free group. Okay. So we do a weekly schedule. And with all of my clients, we do a weekly rotation where we have certain types of content that we drop every single week. So live video is one of those pieces of content. I will say this, that if you've built up really great engagement inside of your group, you don't have to do it every single week. You can have times off. You can take time off. If you have a team in place, your team can take over stuff for you. And essentially that's what we do in the C5 strategy. we build up engagement in the first 3 parts of the C5 strategy, C1 through C3. It's all about building up engagement. It's all about building up a culture. Because if you don't decide the culture and you don't dictate what that culture is going to be, your members inside the group will decide for you. And typically it's not what you want. It's either a culture you really don't like or enjoy, or it's no culture at all and nobody shows up. That's the 2 options you have there. So then the 4th thing that we do in C4 is we actually work on building out a team, because if you have a free group and people are getting free value, you should be able to get free help. And so one of the things that I encourage a lot of my clients to do who are still solopreneurs or they're self-employed entrepreneurs, I encourage them to, not hire on a big team and, try to get a bunch of salespeople and setters and all of that. I encourage them to actually build their team from within inside the group and get volunteers. And so if you have a free group and you're giving free value and you have a big mission and purpose, a lot of people are ready to stand behind that and help you out. And then the 5th part of the strategy is things built around growth and monetization. And that's where we actually work on organic strategies for growing groups and for monetizing the groups and getting clients out of the groups. But essentially, if you don't have a really great culture and the engagement is not really good inside your group, anything that you do with selling is going to be a lot more effort. And I'll tell you from the people that I've talked to who have gone through and built up the other types of groups, the 4 other types, it's a ton of effort to put into it if you don't have those other strategies in place. So my 2 favorite group types, one is going to be the free one, and that's your lead gen source. The second one is going to be your client only group. And that's just because you're going to be doing fulfillment for your clients anyway. Why not give them a community and an atmosphere to mastermind with each other?
Can I ask a side question here?
Absolutely.
That may not be in front of you. So can you talk about the importance of adding value in your group? And it doesn't always necessarily need to be you, correct? You talked about having a team. The importance of having value in your group. Just kind of expand on that, because I know you do a really good job of putting value into your group. So one of the biggest things that I tell people is you don't have to give value away for free, but there is where, say you have 100% of your offer or your program, you can give away 10% to where people can actually get some kind of a result based off of your teaching. And when you do that, it allows them to have a win from you as the leader. So now they're looking to you as the leader so that when they do go out and they get those wins, you're top of mind. So when they're thinking about who they're going to get to coach them or who they're going to pay to work on stuff for them, like whether it's with ads or something else, like there's a lot of ads people that I know. I don't know who, like what all types of businesses are inside of the entrepreneur journey group. There are health and fitness. It's mostly coaches and consultants.
Cool.
Everything
Perfect.
from mindset, health, fitness, marketing, pretty much runs the gamut on the coaches and consultants side.
Yeah, awesome. So in terms of that, you're going to see a lot of sales start to happen as soon as you start dropping some value that people can actually get quick wins with. So if you're able to teach something, if it's like the top 3 hacks or the 5 things that you can do right now that will supercharge your business or something like that, and people are able to get quick wins, whatever the case may be, and don't actually use the 5 things to do right now to supercharge your business. I mean, that's a great headline, but supercharge your business is not, it's extremely vague. I actually did a live recently. I'm trying to remember if it was on my profile or in my group. I've been doing so many lives, but I did one recently and we were talking about the biggest mistake in marketing. It was inside my group because I advertised about it. But the biggest mistake in marketing that I've noticed is when people are vague. They're like, I will help you 10x your business. And they're trying to be Grant Cardone, but they don't know that Grant Cardone has paid more than $1 million in ads to get people to actually listen to this message over time. So he already has a huge following. He's allowed to be vague. People are still going to follow him just because he's Grant Cardone, because he's already sown into their life and they've already seen those rewards or those good things happen because of something he taught them in the past. If you're just starting out in your business and you're sub $1 million in a year, then you need to be giving people extremely specific results. and when it comes to how you're headlining things for your content, for your copy, for your lead magnets, for any kind of live videos that you do, you have to be extremely specific on the results that people are going to get.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
So on to there was another question, correct? Or no, that I asked.
There were a couple.
Yeah.
So you said essential tools. Yeah, you said
yeah.
essential tools to manage your group. I have a few that I've created for my clients. It's realistically, it's really up to you. We actually use a quarterly content planner. Maybe I should just create something as a supplemental thing that people can buy, sort of like how Traffic and Funnels has their productivity pack. I should just create something that people could buy like that. But we utilize a quarterly content planner. It flows really, really well. And what it does is it allows you to reflect and refine all of the content that you're doing as you move forward and make sure that you have a really good flow for your marketing strategy. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of group leaders make or community leaders make is that they have no vision for why they're putting out certain content. They're just like, I'm going to put out this lead magnet and we're going to see how many people we can get on that. Oh, that didn't work very well. Let me try another one. And it's just like a popcorn, like a random popcorn of ideas rather than being a strategic flow. And as we all know, from looking at everything that ClickFunnels has done, looking at everything that Traffic and Funnels done, you have to have actual strategic flow of information whenever you're working with a funnel. You want to be taking people down a certain path because then you can look at the chain link and you can see which links are broken. And so being strategic with your content is going to be one of the biggest things for actually having a tool. I would say actually having that quarterly content flow is a really big deal. That's one of the biggest tools that I give my clients. We also do a strategic, as far as getting volunteers. We have a strategic flow. I built out. I used to do a lot with volunteer organizations, and so when I was doing it for the military, they had this big binder full of SOPs, like standard operating procedures for everything. And I went through it and I scraped out and I pulled out all of the ones that were the most applicable based on all of the different volunteer organizations I've worked with over the last 2 decades. I pulled out the ones that were most applicable and I white labeled them so that anyone could just take it and it's like plug and play for whenever you're building out volunteer teams to help you manage the group. And of course, one of the biggest things you want to keep in mind whenever you're doing volunteers is that if somebody is going to stay and help you for free, there has to be some sort of incentive. So never bring on a volunteer if you don't have an incentive. And I always work with my clients on making sure that whatever their volunteers are getting incentivized by is actually something that they want long term, because it really sucks to have to keep switching out people all the time. In the restaurant industry and the retail industry, there's a very high turnover rate for people, and it's really difficult. So they have to have like those SOPs in place to make sure that everyone's doing the same thing as they're coming in. But then there's like this training period where people are getting brought up to speed, and it's one of the best things in the world when you find somebody who loves the position and it actually learns how to do it and they do it well, and then they're helping to make it better. And so that's essentially what we want to happen with volunteers. We want them to be so well incentivized that they want to stay, and you don't have to keep retraining people over and over again.
That's awesome. And I relate to that because I have a background in the restaurant industry management. So I know like turnover and training and all that sort of stuff. So definitely insightful.
Yeah.
So when you come up with that, did you call it the quarterly content planner? Is that what you called it?
Yeah. When
you put that together as a product, let me know, because I want to push it out there for you because I think it's amazing. So. Yeah,
it's one of the biggest things that we implement like right from the get-go, because like the very first thing that we do is we work on welcome strategy. So if somebody's just starting out their group, I would work on your first, I call it a first impression strategy, because the first impression sets the tone for the entire relationship. It's just like when you met your spouse for the first time ever. I'm sure you remember the very first time you met, because that first impression is what set the tone for the relationship moving forward. And I still remember to this day what happened with when I met my husband for the first time. We actually met online on a website called hotornot.com, and we met just as friends. But the very first time that we talked on the phone, we ended up talking for a few hours. I was really upset with something that had happened with my dad. And I think I was only 17 at the time. No, I might have been. Yeah, I was 17. I was 17 at the time. He was about 4.5 years older than me, which, was super sketchy in terms of like whether my dad would approve. And I just remember that he helped talk me through it. We actually connected over spiritual things, and we talked about scripture, and we connected over a lot of different things that we had in common, and we connected as friends. And that was what the foundation of our relationship was started on, was just being friends. And it was a really big deal. And so it's one of those things where moving forward, every time we had a problem in the future, we always defaulted to the fact that we were friends first. And so whenever you're having people come into the group, what is the first impression that they're getting? Like, that's one of the biggest things that we focus on inside of the C5 strategy and with my clients, is we want to make sure that people's expectations for the group are really, really clear, that they know the value that they're going to get just by being a part of the community, because the value can't just be your offer. When they're joining your community, the value can't just be your offer, because they can get your offer without being a part of the community. So they have to have a reason to want to stay in the community, to listen to you pitch them, because if they're not ready to buy right away, if they're part of that other 85% of the market, which is a huge chunk, they need to have a reason to stick around. And if the only value inside your community is that it's your offer that they can purchase at some point, that's not going to be enough incentive to make people stay.
Awesome. So a couple things. I have another question. So when someone is seeking out to, well, let's just say, when would someone hire you? When they're ready to start a group, when they have a group already, and it's just kind of not doing what they wanted to do, or both those scenarios?
So I've worked with people on both sides. So I've worked with people who are just starting out, and I've also worked with people who are, well established. One of the clients I have right now has a 20,000 member group, and even has like Les Brown is inside of her group, and is going to be one of the headline speakers at like keynote speakers at our next event. But the idea is the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind for your business is it's really easy to get leads. Once you actually implement a highly engaged strategy, it's really easy to get leads, but you have to be able to sell. And so I require that my clients have sold something before, because if you can't sell, then it's really going to suck. I'm going to bring you, you're going to get hundreds of people. You're going to be talking to hundreds of people, but you're not going to be able to sell them. It's really easy to get warm butts and seats, but actually making them stay and want to buy, that's going to be up to you once you implement that part.
Oh, nice. All right. Any other words of wisdom for us?
So one of the biggest engagement boosters, which Doug, you might already know this one. I've done trainings in multiple groups about this, but one of the biggest engagement boosters that I would recommend that you guys implement, don't overuse it, is to do what I call viral questions. And so a viral question is essentially, you don't want to make it like, what's your biggest struggle in this? Do you struggle with weight loss or whatever? You don't want it to be like that, because that sounds like, oh God, they're going to try and sell me something. You want it to be something that's just like, do you like chocolate ice cream or vanilla? That's actually going to get a lot of people to engage with you on your post. It's going to get a lot of people to comment down below. It's going to get you a lot of visibility. So if you jump into other people's groups and you do that, it's going to get you a ton of visibility in other groups. If you do that on your personal profile, it's going to kick it up in the algorithm for a lot of people. And then the next time that you post about your offer, all the people who commented below are going to be shown that. And so hopefully your next piece of copy is really great. If it's not, I have trainings on that and I coach people on that. But if your next piece of copy is really great after doing a viral question, it's going to boost that for you so that more people see it and it gets more eyes.
That is a killer tip. I know everybody that watches this now is going to go do that right away.
Yeah, for sure. So, why wouldn't you?
Right. Well, it has been a pleasure having you today, Cierra, and thanks for contributing value to this group with this training. Absolutely.
Thank you, Doug, for having me, and I hope to see you again sometime inside the group on something like this with StreamYard.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, no technical difficulties next time, since I know how to use StreamYard now, not since I switched from
Woo.
Zoom. So, all right. Have a good day.
You too.